Welcome to Ashmont University. I'm your professor, Adam Ashba, and today we're going to be doing part 2 of the Columbus Board of Realtors MLS training. Now in this module, we're going to be covering the basics, tips, and tricks on how to properly search for a home, a multi-unit, a rental, or land for a possible client. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to dive in right now.
So the first thing I'm going to do is go to search, and I'm going to go to quick search. Now this is the main entrance. Notice you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 default searches that were created by the MLS for you. In these searches, you have all of the property types, but number 9 is multi-property. What that means is if, for example, you wanted to search residential and land farm, you can't select both of them at the same time. But what you can do is select number 9, multi-property. And that, when you click use at the bottom of the screen, will take you to the search screen, and only multi-property, number 9, multi-property, has this option, property type. When you click on that, now if you want to select multiple property types, just like any other pick list, you click on the first one with your left mouse button, and then hold down the control key or the command key on a Mac and select multiple items within that list. So that way you can quickly select multiple. So if you want to search for residential properties and land farm, and then you want to go down and use a list price field of, say, $400,000, what you're doing effectively is searching for residential or land farm with a minimum of $400,000. So that allows you to do that. Only number 9, multi-property, will allow you to do that. All the others are only residential or only land farm or only multifamily, etc. Okay, so I'm going to do that again. I'm going to hover over search, and I'm going to go to quick search. So I hover over search, I click on quick search, and that takes me to the list of available property types. I'm going to go with residential, and most of our examples are residential. All the other property types work exactly the same. They just have different fields. And keep in mind, if you do use multi-property, since there are different fields in each of the property types, if you use multi-property, you're only going to have the limited number of fields that match all property types. So you're not going to have all of the fields for residential because, for example, bedrooms and bathrooms don't exist in land farm. So keep that in mind if you do search number 9, multi-property is only for special occasion searches where you're searching for multiple property types specifically. If you want residential, you choose number 1, residential. If you want to search land farm only, you get the idea. I'm going to start with 1, residential, and I'm going to click use at the bottom of the screen. Now you'll notice the big blue number on the right-hand side has loaded the total number of matches based upon your current set of criteria. Well, your current set of criteria is simply active and contingent, escape, contingent finance inspection, contingent lien release. Well, you can always verify that up here at the top with that little blue bubble that I'm hovering my mouse over right now. That little blue bubble will show you your current criteria. So I'll check it again in just a moment, but just remember that little eye bubble tells you the criteria you have currently selected. Before I get started here though, I want to go and show you a different search, and that is the multiple address search. So if I go to search, hover over, there's quick search, there's map search, there's multiple address search. Multiple address search will allow you to search for exactly that, multiple addresses. Now you can do multiple individual addresses like this, and then you can go down and put in the next one. And then you go down and put the next one. But understand, you don't have to put the street number. So if I put those 3 properties, notice down at the bottom you choose property type, residential, land farm, etc. And then you can click active, or notice all at the top there for status. And you can choose a status change date down here. But as you put in just the street number and the street name, it's only going to find those properties. So I'm going to do all statuses, those 3 properties, residential only, and then I'm going to go down to the bottom and click on next. When I click next at the bottom of the screen, here are the, wait a minute, 3 properties. That's not 3 properties. That's Edmonton Road, and Nestling Drive. Here's how this works. Because you put in 2315 Edmonton Drive and you put all statuses, it's going to show you all instances of that address. And notice the MLS number right here. and the MLS number right here. Those two MLS numbers are totally different, and therefore that's why it came up twice in your search. So you've got a 1999. Now, how do I know that's 1999? Well, that's another thing. The MLS number is going to indicate when the listing was entered into the MLS. This property was entered into the MLS as MLS number 9903837 in 1999. And I know that because on a 7-digit MLS number, the first 2 digits are the year code. So since this is 7 digits, the first 2 digits being 99, it's a 1999 listing. Now, that doesn't work for the 9-digit MLS numbers. Notice these right here. You have 214-010-619. For a 9-digit MLS number, you have a 3-digit year code. So it'll be 214 equals 2014 was the list date or the list year for this property. Same thing with this nestling property, 7-digit code. So the first 2 digits is a year code, 2005, since it's a 7-digit year code. So just remember that 7-digit MLS number has a 2-digit year code. We basically ran out of numbers in 2010. That's why we went with a 9-digit year code. And now the 9-digit year code, or 9-digit MLS number, excuse me, has a 3-digit year code, 214. So that's how MLS numbers work. But if you recall, I entered 3 properties in that search. And the reason I don't see 8080 Storo Road in this list is because 8080 Storo Road was not listed since 1994. And about halfway through 1994 is when our database began. So you won't see properties older than that in the MLS database. It's not every property based on tax record. It's only the properties that have been listed on the MLS. Now, listed on the MLS, that is, or there's something called sold non-MLS. Sold non-MLS properties were never listed on the MLS, but the buyer's rep had their broker enter the listing as a sold non-MLS after the sale. Sold non-MLS listings literally mean they were sold not on the MLS. And they can only be entered by a broker or an admin with broker's permission to put the listing on the MLS for comps or for proof of sale, so you want to get credit for the listing on the MLS. It's not listed by an agent on the MLS, but it is sold by an agent on the MLS, and the broker can enter it as a sold non-MLS, which effectively puts it in the MLS immediately as sold and marks it sold non-MLS. Okay, so that's the only other way that property can get on if it wasn't listed by an MLS member. All right, but that's also why 8080 Storo doesn't exist on this list, because it wasn't listed in the MLS since 1994. So let's do something else here. I'm going to go to search, and instead of going to multiple address search, I'm going to go to MLS number search. Now, remember again, if you go to quick launch at the top of the screen up here, you can search for a single address, or you can search for a single MLS number. But if you want to search for multiple MLS numbers, then you go to search and MLS number. Now notice if I type in 9900100, comma, no space. Now that comma is a separator telling it more information is coming. The second item is coming. So if I put in 262-2000, for example, and a comma, and then I put in 214-001-001. So I'm stringing together multiple MLS numbers with a comma separator. Now, unlike the previous address screen, notice here in the statuses, we don't have an all option. So I would need to click on and then control or command click each of those statuses within that field if I want to select them. So click on it, control click, or you can use standard functionality in a browser or operating system. You click on the first one and then hold down the shift key on your keyboard and click the bottom one. That will select everything between 2 points. Again, that was click right up there at the top, and then control click down at the bottom. Okay, so that'll select all of the items within that list. Now, I'm going to click on next now that I've chosen all of the statuses, and I select the MLS numbers at the top of the screen. All right, now here we have those properties that I selected. Here they are: canceled property, and an expired property, and a closed property. So it doesn't matter because I've put in the MLS numbers and I've put them in correctly, meaning I put them correctly into that search box, because if I'd put them in incorrectly, I wouldn't have gotten the results I was looking for. So it would have found the ones that I typed correctly and then not found the incorrect ones. But there they are. And notice they are color-coded. Notice this is a canceled property. It's in purple. And this is a red expired property. And this is a closed property. Why that's significant? Notice the map tab up here at the top. When I click on the map tab, you'll see those 3 properties mapped by color. So there's the expired red property over here in London, and you've got the blue closed property over here in Baltimore, and the one selected on the left-hand side, I'm going to click on a different one so you can see that the property in Reynoldsburg is indeed purple. So they are color-coded. The active and contingent properties are green, and you'll see that when we do a search live in just a moment. You'll get used to those color codes. You'll also see them on the grid results when we look at those properties. So I'm going to start over with a regular search. So far we've looked at search, hovering over search, going to multiple address search. And remember, if you just want to put in Storo and you just want to put in Nestling and you just want to put in the street names, you can do that as well. And say you only want to see the actives on those 3 street names. So you got that person who likes to ride around and say, hey, you know, we saw this property over on Nestling and I don't remember the address. I don't remember the agent information. I don't remember the company information, but it was on Nestling. Okay, well, you can look for Nestling. And they said, oh, there was also one on Storo and there was one on Edmonton. So you can put in either multiple addresses with numbers or just multiple street names. Click active or contingent escape, whatever status you'd like, residential only. And again, click next and you'll get only the active properties. In this case, it went right to one property because on those 3 particular streets, this is the only active property. Okay, so I'm going to go back to edit search. And now notice, because I did this by street address, only those streets are showing up on the list here. If I want to go to a new search, I have to go up to the search menu at the top and click on quick search. Now I'm going to go to residential and I'm going to click on use. When I click on use, I go back to that residential search screen. Now we're not doing any of the multiple address searching anymore. We're not doing any of the searching for multiple MLS numbers. Remember, you separate them by a comma. What I'm doing now, when I go to search and I go to quick search, is a full quick search for whichever property type I use. Remember 9 multi-property that we talked about, but typically you're going to be using only the property type that you select at the top. I click use, and now I'm doing a residential search. Now, as we go down through here, I'm not going to go through all of the fields. Subtype, you're going to have build to suit, you're going to have condo, you're going to have single family, you're going to have shared wall, you're going to have freestanding. What do all those terms mean? Well, very simply put, build to suit means it is an owner or builder owned or controlled lot that they will build the model that is listed on the MLS for the price. That is, the ground and the building, the structure, will be built for the price listed on the MLS. And it's condo or single family based upon whether it's a condo or single family, right? Build to suit. The trigger for build to suit is that it does not yet have a building permit. No building permit acquired means it has to be entered as build to suit. Otherwise, you're really just talking about a land parcel that has not been built yet. It's build to suit, but it has to be listed on the MLS as the land and the structure, and it has to be able to be built for the price they've got listed on the MLS. This is a builder specific kind of listing. Now, remember, build to suit means permit not acquired. If a permit is acquired, then it can be moved into condo or single family. So condo or single family, that is determined by the auditor. If you go to the auditor, it'll say it's a condo, or on Franklin County, it'll say 1 family dwelling. That means single family. But what's freestanding mean? And shared wall? Freestanding means that it does not share a wall with the unit next door. So if it was a condo, that means the condo association owns the ground, but it doesn't buttress against the unit next door. There's air between the walls. What about freestanding? Well, single family freestanding means the homeowner owns the land it sits on, and it does not buttress against another unit. Freestanding. Well, what about shared wall? Well, once again, condo, the condo association owns the ground. Single family, the homeowner owns the ground. Shared wall means literally it butts against another unit, maybe the garage wall or the back wall or the side wall, but a wall of the unit is shared with another unit. So that's how you can determine what the property types are. If you want to close one of these menus after you open it, you can just click on it. Notice I've got shared wall selected. I don't want that. I want single family freestanding. Or what if I just want to turn that off? Notice as soon as I make a change, the criteria updates the total number of matches right here and right here at the top left-hand corner where I'm highlighting. So if I change that to single family shared wall, it's going to drop significantly to 93 properties here and here. All right, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to deactivate that field. And the way you do that is to click the X, the checkbox that is, right here. When I hover over the left-hand side beside subtype, notice if I check it, it limits the number of properties. If I uncheck it, it is ignored and doesn't affect the number of properties. And that works with all of the fields. Additional acceptance conditions. You can search for short sale, and you can search for auction and bank owned and all of that in additional acceptance conditions. Subdivision is a text field. Be careful in subdivision, because if they abbreviated it, or they spelled it, or they didn't spell it correctly, or if they ran the words together when they're not supposed to be together. You know, if it's meadowlark and it's actually two words, meadow space lark, that's totally different than meadowlark all one word. So be careful in the subdivision field. School district, very important field. Let's go over it right now. If I type in school district and I type in LICKING, you activate a field by clicking the tab key. Activating the field means just basically run the criteria. So I click tab. Now some of you may say, well, I use the enter key and it seems to work fine. And that's true, but tab is better, and I'll show you why. Notice when I click tab on Licking, it found Licking Heights, Licking Valley, Southwest Licking. That's not what I want. I only want Licking Heights. So I click down here beside Licking Heights and type space H after it. Now that phrase is unique to only one of the schools listed there. So now when I click the tab key, notice they all go away except the one that matches Licking space H, which is Licking Heights. Now why that's significant is if I put a comma, remember comma is our separator, and I type in Bexley, comma, Dublin, comma, Hilliard, and so on and so forth. When you type those multiple items, if you keep the comma separator, again I click tab and notice it found all four schools: Bexley, Dublin, Hilliard, Licking Heights. But what if I want to delete Hilliard? Well, I just go over here and I highlight what I don't want and I click delete on my keyboard. But what if instead of clicking tab to activate the field, what if I click on enter to activate the field? Watch what happens to these words, these phrases that I'm searching for in the school district field when I click enter. Notice it has all of the schools there, but they're all spread out. Well, basically the full database name is what has been put in here, and that is the school district name, CSD for City School District, 2501, the county code for that school, and the county of primary residence for that school. And so it's exploded those out. Now, if I want to delete the one at the end, I have to work a little harder, right? That's why I say it works, but tab works better, because if I do this, BEXLEY, comma, Licking space H, comma, and DUBLIN. Now, if I click tab, if I want to go in and make changes to that, I don't have to scroll and get to those. They're right there on the screen. Like I said, tab works better, enter works, but tab works better. So I'm going to minimize that. And I'm going to go to county. Well, you know what county is. You just select the county. Remember, if you want more than one, you click, control click, or command click on a Mac. To disable the field, you just uncheck the box. To close the field, you click on the header for that field. List price. I think we all know what list price does. So I'm going to put in the list price field here. An amount, I'll go 200 to 300,000. And notice immediately the properties update on the right-hand side. So I'm going to scroll down some more. We have bedrooms. Well, you know what that is. How many bedrooms does a property have? Full baths, half baths, total baths. Well, full baths and half baths, I hope, are obvious. That's a full bath and a half bath. This one doesn't have a shower or tub, and the full bath does. Well, what about total baths? Total baths, you simply add full baths and half baths. So, for example, in total baths, if I say 4 minimum total baths and I click tab, it says there are only 8 properties. What that means is it has 4 either full or half baths. So it has 2 full and 2 half. That would be 4 total baths. What if it was 3 full and 1 half? Would that be 3.5? No. It counts whole baths. So full is 1, 2, 3. Half is 1 more, and you have a total of 4. Now, why this is so useful is because if that client is looking to have a 4-bath house and they absolutely want 3 of them to be full, but they don't care about the 4th one, it could be half, it could be full, they don't care. All you do is this. You do total baths 4, which is what they said, 4 total baths, but they want 3 of them to be full. So I put a minimum of 3 full baths. And when I tab out of that field, it will have at least 4 total baths, and at least of those have 3 full baths. Doesn't care whether it's the 4th one. So any bath logic your client can come up with, this will work. If they say they only want 4 baths, they don't want 5 or whatever, you can put a minimum 4 and a maximum 4. That means it requires that it be 4 total baths and still a minimum of 3 full baths. Now, I'm not putting in a half bath, because if I say 1 half bath, that means it's going to have 1 half bath. So now you're saying absolutely has to be 3 full and 1 half. Maybe that's what they want, maybe not. If they just care about the 3 full, then don't use half baths. And if they don't care whether it has more than 4 total baths, then leave the maximum field blank. You can leave the maximum or minimum field blank depending upon your needs. So that's total baths in conjunction with full and half. And again, to turn those fields off, deactivate them, you just check the box in front or uncheck the box in front. Notice it didn't delete out the criteria. It just removed that from this current search. Year built, square foot ATFLS, built prior, wait, square foot ATFLS, what's that? ATF, it stands for square foot approximate total finished living space. Approximate total finished living space. Basically, that is a number that may include a finished basement that doesn't have a walkout or egress in Franklin County. The auditor is not going to include that in finished space. It's not taxable square footage. So ATFLS can include that if it's truly livable finished space or approximate total finished living space. That number, when entering the listing, is modifiable by the listing agent. Square foot documented is not modifiable by the listing agent. Square foot documented is the tax record square foot or official documents that can override the square footage of the auditor if the auditor's data is incomplete or incorrect. But that is a much harder number, the documented, than ATFLS, because it will not include finished basements without walkout or egress in Franklin County. So that's the difference between square foot ATFLS, the listing agent's number that they can modify, versus square foot documented, which is, for all intents and purposes, the public records square footage. Okay, closing those fields. Tax district is the tax district according to the auditor, and acreage according to the auditor. Street number, street name, you can search there, but if you're going to search that, remember, you've also got Quick Launch up at the top. If you're just looking for one street number and street name, just search by Quick Launch right up at the top, like we looked at in lesson 1. City mailing address is a very dangerous search because city mailing address is the junk mail label on the mail they receive. What city mailing address appears on that junk mail label? For example, if someone who lives in Whitehall gets mail, it may say Columbus, Ohio. That's city mailing address. Or Upper Arlington may very well say Columbus, Ohio. Or Gahanna may say Columbus, Ohio. That is the city mailing address, as opposed to a field further down called Corp Limit Per Auditor. Corp Limit Per Auditor is very specifically what the auditor has for the corporation limit that this property resides in. For example, you may have a property in city mailing address that is in Powell on their mailing label. But if you look at the corp limit, they're actually in Columbus Corp in Franklin County. How can that be? Well, again, city mailing address is only done by the mailing address, hence the zip code, whereas the corp limit per auditor will actually be in the county and the corp limit where they actually reside. This is the policing and taxing authority of the municipality in which that property resides, whereas city mailing address is just a United States Postal Service zip code mailing address. Okay, so that's the difference between those two fields, and that's something you really need to know. City mailing address, junk mail label, and corp limit, auditors. Corp limit per auditor, hence the name. Now you've also got several township field you can search here. Be careful searching township. A lot of agents do not fill it in, and it is not a required field. Style, very important. You're searching 1-story, 2-story, 3-story, bi-level, etc. Garage enclosed spaces. What's that? Well, garage enclosed spaces is going to be the total number of fully enclosed parking spaces. Now, that means that a carriage house is a fully enclosed parking space. An outbuilding behind the house where they park their classic car is a fully enclosed parking space. But for example, a kind of a little lean-to off the side of the house that's not enclosed at all, not included in enclosed, because it's fully enclosed garage parking spaces, garage enclosed spaces. The beauty of that is it's actually a number. So if you want exactly 4 enclosed parking spaces because they want both of their cars, husband and wife, plus they have 2 weekend and special occasion cars that they keep, including the antique car. Okay, fine. So they absolutely have to have 4 enclosed spaces. You can do that. You can say, I want a minimum of 4 fully enclosed parking spaces, garage enclosed spaces. Now that's the beauty of garage enclosed spaces. But what about parking type? What's that? Well, this is more of a description field. This is not technically a number field. In fact, not at all a number field. For example, if you say 4-car garage, it's not going to find anything. But what if I do a 3-car garage and a 1-car garage? Can I do that and that equals 4? Absolutely not. 1-car garage, 3-car garage. Notice the operator in front. It's or. So if I say 3-car and I click it again and I click the or for 3-car garage and say a 1-car garage and a 3-car garage, that literally means it has to have that selected 1-car garage and it has to have 3-car selected. That's what the and operator means. So that can be very difficult because, again, how did the listing agent list this property? Did they put 1-car and 3-car, or did they just put 4-car in the description field? And which one is more accurate? Now, when you're entering your listing, I recommend filling all those in that match your property. But when you're searching, it can be very difficult. Again, it might be better just to go up to the number of spaces, the garage enclosed spaces, and search for 4 up there, or search for 3 up there, however many your client is looking for. And notice that number is going to be different than the parking type because that's a numerical value, whereas parking type is a descriptor. Now, what about this? What if I go to parking type and I say I want a minimum of a 2-car garage, but I want attached? Can I do that? Can I combine garage enclosed spaces and parking? Absolutely. And you should, because that's something. But again, keep in mind they didn't have to fill it in completely and correctly, so you may be excluding them accidentally if they did not select attached garage. So just be aware, the parking type field can be risky. The garage enclosed field should be a little more solid, but it's just a number field. Okay, so those are the 2 parking and garage fields. Exterior, pick the ones that apply or the ones you want to use, but be careful, not a required field. So if they didn't fill it in, you may be missing them accidentally. We already talked about corp limit, complex subdivision amenities, basement, yes, no. Any kind of basement, including a crawl space, is a basement, yes. Basement description, then you can be more descriptive about which type of basement you're looking for, and the foundation, which type of foundation you're looking for. Those are required fields, so they're more solid to search on. The basement fields, basement and foundation. Lot characteristics, rooms, manufactured housing, yes or no. That's for a steel frame. You're talking trailers, single wides, double wides when you're talking about manufactured housing. And then you can describe what type of manufactured housing. HOA, COA, yes, no. Does it have a homeowner or condo association? New construction, yes, no. Has it been lived in? If it's already been lived in, then it is no longer new construction. If it has not been lived in, then it is, yes, new construction. Sold price. Remember, sold price is not list price. List price is how much it's listed for. If you're searching for sold listings, then you want to use sold price. Property description. What about property description? Well, if you want to search for certain things like, for example, horse farms, you can type horse in property description and you get 0 results. Okay, well, let's see why. Remember this eye bubble up here at the top where I'm hovering my mouse? Let's see what I've got. Bexley, Dublin, Licking Heights. Oh, there's the problem. We got the price range in there is too low for what we're looking for, and I didn't mean to use that anyway. So I simply uncheck the box in front of list price. And then look there, I've got 4 properties with horse in the property description. But I want to add a couple other terms. Horse, comma, barn, comma, stall. Remember the comma separator for multiple items. I hit tab to activate the field. And now I've got 28 properties. But be careful. This isn't contains search. This is one of those contains fields we talked about where the property description is going to search for those words anywhere within the property description. So for example, if someone typed in all blinds and drapes are from Pottery Barn, well, wait a minute, barn, B-A-R-N, it will find that. And other items that can generate false positives, for example, REO. You search property description for REO, and it searches stereo, stays with the entertainment center in the basement. REO is part of the word stereo. So when you search property description, be careful about shotgunning and just pulling up all the listings and emailing them to your client, because these words are going to pull up false positives that aren't real matches, like Pottery Barn and stereo, when you use parts of words. So be careful with that. But I'm going to continue on here. I'm going to uncheck property description. Agent-to-agent remarks. Remember, property description is for the public. Agent-to-agent remarks is not. It is agent comments. So if you want to look up showing instructions, and if I just type in the word showing, for example, I can put in showing in that field and tab out to activate it, and it will pull up 70 properties that have the word showing information in the agent-to-agent remarks, which is where it belongs. Remember, agent-to-agent remarks is for agents only. That showing information should not go in property description. New financing, air conditioning, heating. There's that sold non-MLS. Remember I said sold non-MLS were not listed by an agent, but they were represented on the buyer's side. Well, there it is, sold non-MLS, so you can search for those as well. Interior and exterior amenities, if you choose to use those. And those are the majority of your search fields, okay? Especially some of the ones that are a little more confusing. So once you get through all of those searches, you can click over to the list tab up here at the top. Now notice I've got 473 properties here. So I want to view those properties. I click the list tab. But wait a minute, now that I get to the list tab, I want to go back and change some of my search criteria. So I simply click on edit search up at the top, and that will take me back to my criteria on the left-hand side. But I want to see where these properties are. In fact, I want to go back down here and I want to turn on one of the fields I turned off, which was property description, horse, barn, and stall. So I check the box and look at that. It takes me back to my 28. Well, if I just want to see the map, I can click on map search over here on the right-hand side, or the map tab. Now the map tab we'll get to later. I want to go to map search because that's where we're going to search in the next step. If I click on map search right now, it's literally going to map all of the properties, all 28 of them, that currently match. Now, if I go to the list, it's going to show me those. But if I go back to edit search, it's going to take me back to the map. And notice how they're kind of grayed out. It's because we looked at the list. I can just uncheck the criteria on the left-hand side, recheck that criteria on the left-hand side, and now it will redraw those properties. So there are the properties that have horse, barn, or stall in the property description, matching all of our criteria. And here's a really nice thing. If you click right on one of the little icons, you can click on the parcel number to go to Realist, or you can click on the MLS number to go to the MLS detail page. So first I'm going to go to Realist. So I go up here, I click on this property, and remember, you just click on the icon on the map, and you click on the MLS number, or the parcel. MLS number here takes you to the detail page. Notice it's in a separate tab, so I'm going to close that tab up at the top of the screen. And I'm going to click on the parcel number to go to Realist. Again, it loads Realist, takes you to the detail page in the Realist system and shows you all the tax record information. And if you want to go to the main Realist page, then you can click right here and go to the main Realist page and see all of the other reports in Realist for this property. I'm going to close that. Now I'm going to close the little pop-up bubble and click on this property up here in Powell. Again, I'm going to click on the parcel number. It takes me out to Realist. Now this only works if we have Realist for that property. Right now we have 13 counties. We may be adding more, but only the counties that are in Realist will display the Realist data. But if I click on the MLS number, that again opens in a separate tab and takes me to the property that I clicked on. Now, just so you know, notice we're here looking at this property on Brinsworth. If I click on edit search, that should take me back to the criteria, right? No. Actually, it took me back to the MLS number, and that's the only criteria. And the reason for that is that was the only criteria. Remember, we didn't do a search for Brinsworth. From the map, we clicked on the property and then clicked on the MLS number. And so it ran an MLS number search, in this case for Tevis and Court. I click on it. It opens the detail report for that property. If I go back to edit search, it only has the MLS number as criteria. Where are all the rest of the fields? Well, it doesn't have any because the only criteria used was the MLS number because I'm in that tab. If I go to the top of the screen and close that tab, then it takes me back to this screen. And there's all my criteria. So if I want to modify my criteria or see all of the listings, I am on map search. I can click on quick search right up here at the top right-hand corner to go back to the big blue number. Not very impressive because remember, you've got the little blue number right over here. right below your eye bubble with the criteria that got you these listings. Again, if I click on the map, it will show me all the icons. And if I click on the icon on the map, it will take me to the parcel number for realist and the MLS number for the detail page. All right, that is the basic search functions in the MLS.